What's going on, guys? Welcome to an extra double October review, sort of, because we couldn't quite get everything into that incredibly long review I already had of the MG Virtue. So what I'm going to show you here is how to redress your Nadleeh back to Virtue. Now, mind you, this is the state that I left it in at the end of the video, so we're just going to go from here. And also, in real time, I haven't touched this in about a week, just so you know. All right, so let's go over here and go ahead and take the rifle out of his hand. I'll just leave the fingers on it just for the time being because we're not worried about it. Grab the shield, which actually pegs in really nicely for the most part. Like, it's not as nowhere near as wonky as the old Exia shield mount was. Set those aside. We'll come back here, pull the hair off, not the hair, pull the backpack off so that we can get the hair off. That's the thing. Well, I'm gonna have to reposition here just to be able to do the thing properly, in my opinion. Okay. So, where you want to start, basically, is come to the back of the head, pull the little gray piece here, carefully. And that's basically what's holding the hair in place on the backside. And you just kind of want to pull down and wiggle it until it comes out of its groove. Be very careful you don't snap off your clavicle fins. Seriously though, that is tight. And then go ahead and bring this back in. Is that right? Okay, up. Yeah. And then slide this guy back on, like so. And then the front is much easier because you're just pulling them out of the face, like so, which it does feel like pulling an actual hair. There's enough resistance. Pull it out of the chest, like so. And then take all your hair pieces and set them aside because you're not going to need those anymore. One other thing you want to do just for prep reasons, go ahead and pull the chest out. Don't pull the white parts, pull the shoulder parts until the entire chest section spreads open. Technically, you want the clavicle fins up for this next part. And I have to find all the pieces. Things are not quite organized. Okay, so we have the back of the head, and we have, oops, where did it go? The cheek parts. So in our face plate, whatever you want to call it. So just come up here and it will plug in to the face vents, like so, which is not a very tight fit, if I'm honest with you. You know, plugs in like so. And then for the back of the head, the new part, stay, you do have 3 holes. Trying to get it. There we go. And those top 2 holes should just fit right into there. I don't know why there's a 3rd hole, but there is. Okay, so that's our head built up. Oh, no, it's not. We're missing the head crest, which is laying here somewhere for sure. Literally, you know, left it like I did. Okay, found it. All right. So we grab the head crest, and you have the camera part facing forward. I'm just going to go ahead and set that on there. And come up a little bit. We got the V-fin, which is literally hollowed out in an exact form to, I guess technically should have done this first, literally set directly over the old one and then cap it off. Okay, so there, now you have a Virtue face. Holy. A face only a mother could love. All right, and next up, I gotta get all the pieces together here. And you go ahead and grab these guys, and they are side specific, so this one goes on this side. So the good thing about the way I took it apart is that, you know, I did take it apart side to side. So all the parts for the right side are on one side of my desk, all the parts to the other side on that side. So pull that off. Be careful because there's only really the one tab holding everything together, which I find a little disconcerting. But, you know, I guess it is what it is. As long as you're not yoinking on it directly, it should be fine. Okay, I'm going to put that down a little. So for the next part, we've got this little bitty little white piece. And that's going to plug into the front of the clavicle fin, like so. And the other one is right here. Come back here. Like that. And then, do I have both pieces? Where's the other one? Uh-oh. Oh, it's over here. Okay. So I was almost right. I did almost put all the parts together. And then this guy is going to slide in and around the clavicle fin, and then it will plug in to the back. Oops, just knocked the face off. You got to be careful about that. The face does pop off fairly easy, at least on mine. Yours might be better. So basically what you're doing, you're just taking this and then running it up in there, widening that whole thing around the V-fin or clavicle fin. Same thing here. Once you got that in place, just sort of push it up until it locks in. And then you're pretty much good to go on those parts. It was always a little unclear as to, on the sides of the chest, or I'm sorry, yeah, the sides of the chest, on whether or not those were meant to remain out or just stayed like that, you know? My computer just caught up. All right, so the other thing we need to do, take the torso section here and remove. I was trying to pull on something that doesn't come off. Okay. And then these parts, just swing them up and in place. In theory, you probably should have done this before doing the sides, but yeah, actually, there's still room to get them in there. It's much harder to get off than get in at this point. Okay, so we've got all this. And then we take this part and we tab it back onto that right there. And then the back, I believe, is just held on, if I remember correctly, just held on by, nope, there's a part missing. Where is it? Oh, the whole butt. There we go. So all of that will plug in to there. Okay, so there's a small hole there and then that tab. So that corresponds to that tab and that hole. It's a smart way to do that, to keep it from getting misaligned. And okay, so yeah, you got to make sure your torso isn't leaning forward. That's something I had not encountered, because when you build it, you don't really encounter that. All right, so to finish out the chest, you have the whole section here, and that just slides into a couple of tucked away rails right there. And then you can flip floppy that guy. And next you take the crotch skirt, couple holes, couple tabs. Once again, this is looser than I would like it to be. I could go in there with a little bit of super glue or something and just tighten that joint up a little. All right, shoulders. We'll do shoulders next. Now, initially, it has you construct the shoulders in place like so, and so we'll do it this way. And I'm guessing like it just kind of encapsulates most of the original shoulder armor. Now, there's holes there, but nothing plugs in, which I find interesting, because you would think that was the purpose of this, right? But from what I can tell, there's nothing that necessarily plugs into that hole. Feels like it should, but it doesn't. All right, so I slipped that one on the way it should go, but I took these things off really easy. Oh, okay, yeah, so you can just snap that in place. Hope that's not a crack. Hope that's a hair. Okay, it was. All right, so you don't have to disassemble those to put them back in place. You can just knock it out. All right, and because it's getting top heavy, let's go ahead and put the feet on and grab this. Got some slots and everything like that. Put the big fat heel on. Now, actually, I think this is funny because that'll keep it fairly well planted, even if you use the toe tilt a little. That alone actually is pretty solid. Yeah, much as I complain about the feet. All right, so with these parts, you do have just a couple tabs. right there. I say a couple, it's one, and that will lock that bad boy in place on the front of your feet. And now you've got that I only put one shoe on, Dad, I'm ready to go to the store hobble, you know? You ever do that as a kid? Just put one shoe on and then act like a dork? All right. You ever do that as an adult? You ever put on one sock, one shoe, and then you go hobbling around like an idiot just for fun of it? No? Just me? Okay. I think I started it out with the right word. Idiot. All right. All right, we're not done with the arms. I just wanted to get to the feet because he was already getting unstable. Come back up. Swing around to the arm. And we've got an arm. And realistically, I don't think these are left or right. It doesn't really matter. You've got a tab right there. You have a hole that doesn't do anything. And you got a tab up there. You just kind of shrink. And... oh, I didn't realize that it flipped under. All right, so be careful about that. That little elbow guard thing slinks under there. Okay, so that's your hand. And one other thing, there are a slight alignment tabs. Did I not? Here we go. So there's some tabs right there. If the camera will focus. Thank you. No, thank you. Okay, either way. You get it. You get it. There's some things there. Once again, make sure that's up. Tab that down. Swing around. Tab her together. All right, so there's most of the upper body. If not all the upper body. Sorry, my nose is running. Just had breakfast. All right, now we're on to leggy legs. Putting on the leg warmers. Putting on the hockey pads. Goalie pads, if nothing else. This guy's definitely a goalie. Let's be honest here. Real simple. Take all that apart. You've only got a couple tabs there. As far as I can tell, nothing plugs into the legs. I don't believe. But now that I'm looking at it, I wonder. Because this looks like... I always wondered if that had anything to do with this. I want to see. Because there's a specific gap opening there. Because this can come up. That looks like it should go into that slot right there. Okay. Yeah, and you don't have to do anything to the front to help it along. So, yeah, that's just the front just chilling like that. Oh, maybe you can't do that. It just looks like something you should do, right? Take that away, though. Yeah, there's nothing else. So, I mean, I don't know if that hurts or hinders or anything. I think it's just there, as far as I could tell. Oh, let's flip it back out and find out again. If I can't get it to close around it, then I'll know it was technically important and you shouldn't have done it, dummy. All right. So put that on there. This part has to come up. I learned that in the original thing because I couldn't get this on there. I was like, oh, why? Also, make sure that the that goes downward, or else you're a dummy. You'll be a dummy like me. Okay, yeah. So you can totally just do that, and that part will go up in there. I wonder if that had anything to do with hindering the feet. I don't think so. And then this part just comes in. And one thing I've noticed about this guy is that if you don't get it lined up properly when you first insert it, it will not go into place. So, I mean, honestly, that's all that's holding the leg armor together. And half the time, doesn't feel very secure. Rest of the time, good luck getting it off. You know? Just one of them there things. All right, so I'm going to play that game again. I'm going to put that back up. Like I said, I don't think it's technically part of it, but it seems like it should be. And here we go. Here comes the hard part. So look, here's the part I always talk about. I want it to lean forward. So it's leaning forward on its toesies. But then it springs back due to its own weight. It's really annoying like that. All right. Front goes on. Like you do. Oh, you got to get that under there or else it really doesn't count. Okay. Grab the back. Bring her in. See, that's what I'm talking about. If you don't get that up all the way, it won't work. Okay, so on this side, it's being less gracious. There we go. Push it a little further, and it works. Hopefully I didn't break anything. Grab your out part, And make sure you stick it in exactly correctly, just like that. And now you got most of the armor put on here. And I wanted to show this off just real quick because I didn't show it off in the main review. So if you open that up, you could take out the GN drive like that. And then there's a couple of tabs that sort of hold it on. So if you pop that, then you get the back of the GN drive. And then you can take the solar reactor, as you do, and there's nothing that will hold this in place. It will just go in there, essentially, like this. And then you just line it back up and shove it back in there. And realistically, nothing happens, nothing changes, but you have a solar reactor inside there instead of the GN drive thing. You know, this. I don't know. You just do it. And then for the hyper mega cannons on the shoulders, I know they're not hyper mega cannons, I just call them that. Establish that, and this is the easy part because all it does is just come in here and clip on. You know, just comes in here and just, that's it. That's all you do. Just got a little clip that sinks in on the ring there, and then you can leave the shoulders out, or you can push them in and make them look a little more solid. That's just on you, however you want to have it displayed. To me, the hard part is just making sure that the legs and feet are balanced with the rest of it, because he wants to stand on his heels, but if he does stand on his heels, he tends to want to fall over. So you gotta find the balance between the heels and the legs, right? And it's just one of those things that they've never seemed to have mastered. They're like, we want the weight distribution to be directly over the heels, but then they don't do it that way. They really don't. Okay. So there we go. That's all of that. And of course, put on the gun if you want, but you guys watch the review. You know how I feel about it. So either way, there's your CeraVe. Jeez. Virtue. Good to go. Make sure you go watch the regular review if you haven't done it yet, because it's still sitting over there. Hopefully you did. But I will see you guys next time. And remember, as always, keep on building.